Hey everyone, I'm Jonathan Gould, General Manager at Barcodes Talk. Today we'll be shedding some light on how barcodes are purchased and what brought the barcode market to where it is today. Believe it or not, purchasing barcodes isn't as difficult as it may sound. The easiest way to get yourself up to speed on the barcode landscape is to understand a brief history of the conception of barcodes and how purchasing them went from buy only to buy versus rent. Let's get started by covering some key historical facts about GS1. Barcodes have become a worldwide tool used by countless businesses each day to help organize and consolidate products in today's global market. To really start understanding how these codes got to where they are today, you need at least a brief history lesson on the organization that started it all, GS1. GS1 is a nonprofit organization that operates globally and has managed and created several standards for barcodes and their use. They offer many other business services, but today we'll be focusing on the retail barcodes for now. GS1 was originally founded as a Uniform Code Council, or UCC, in the 70s, where they started the implementation of the Universal Product Code, or UPC. Its purpose was originally for grocery stores, but it quickly spread to all retail items. In the late 70s, demand for barcodes on products in stores spread internationally as other countries saw the benefit of having such organization systems. The European Article Number, or EAN barcode, was created for this purpose, and as you would guess, worked in Europe, but also a handful of other countries as well. In 2005, the UCC changed their name to GS1, which is the name we know it by today. What many people find remarkable about GS1 and the barcode is that the entire world has been able to agree on a single set of standards in the retail space. Originally spurred on by dozens of retailers in the beginning, this now exceeds millions today. This fact has led many to believe that GS1 is a government organization. It's a common misconception, however, as GS1 is actually a nonprofit, with its board members being compiled of various private companies. If there's one singular defining moment in the barcode industry, it would be August 28, 2002. This day was the finalization of what we call the UCC Settlement Agreement. It's the primary reason why we have the option to buy or rent barcodes today. In the 70s, 80s, and 90s, if you needed a barcode, you'd go to the UCC and they would sell you a 6-digit company prefix. This prefix didn't change regardless if you needed a single barcode or thousands. With this system, each 6-digit prefix has the ability to generate up to 100,000 barcode numbers. While this was originally great for massive companies like Johnson & Johnson, it was way more than most businesses would ever need in their entire lifetime. Back then, barcodes were more plentiful than sand on the beach, and no thought was given to ever running out of numbers. This trend of supplying companies a minimum of 100,000 barcode numbers continued on for almost 30 years until the UCC made the decision to start changing things. Around 2002, the UCC decided that a more sustainable and profitable approach to distributing barcodes could help streamline these processes. This is when they decided to shift from selling barcode prefixes to renting and recycling barcodes. And here's where the problems started appearing. The UCC made the mistake of charging previous prefix owners annual fees and trying to force them into renting their barcodes where they previously had purchased them outright. Quickly, a class action lawsuit was opened against the UCC as there was no mention of renewal fees, membership dues, or renting in the original barcode prefix contracts. This class action lawsuit that was settled on August 28, 2002, with the UCC paying over $3.8 million in damages and allowing the original prefix owners prior to the settlement to keep their ownership rights forever and not pay any annual renewal fees. What actually happened here was that almost 30 years worth of UPCs were no longer property of the UCC and were owned by the very businesses that purchased them, along with their potential hundreds of thousands of unused barcodes as well. This would go on to be the driving force in the ability to buy barcodes inexpensively, even today. Later on in 2005, the UCC changed their name to GS1, which brings us to the state of the industry as it exists today. After the UCC settlement agreement took place in 2002, businesses now had two options to obtaining barcodes to their products: renting from GS1 or buying barcodes that fell into this massive pool of buyer-owned barcodes prior to 2002. When looking at these two options, there are no functional differences. Retail barcode standards have stayed the same since the beginning. UPCs and EANs still scan at retail point-of-sale systems all over the globe, whether it's UPC from 1973 or today. The common names UPC and EAN have been updated to GTIN, or Global Trade Item Number for simplicity. but the barcode digits, images, and everything else has stayed the same through the decades. Today, you'll find that there are specific retailers that have partnered closely with GS1. These retailers have operating procedures that do not allow barcodes to be purchased from third parties. These retailers ensure your company name appears in GS1's registry system, making renting the only option to obtain barcodes for them. Unfortunately, once a company demands that you rent directly from GS1, you're limited to working only with GS1. And those restrictions come with barcode renting and other fees and costs that we'll get into later. The good news is, for the majority of retailers out there, buying your barcodes from non-GS1 barcode suppliers is totally acceptable and would even save your business time and money. Now let's talk about two popular examples of businesses who might require barcodes to be rented directly from GS1. The first of which is Walmart. Walmart played a part in the founding of GS1 in the 1970s and has members who sit on the board of directors to this day. That being said, it'll come as no surprise that Walmart requires new vendors to rent their barcodes from GS1. Businesses who have owned their prefixes prior to 2002, however, do have options, of course, being that the class action lawsuit permits them to use their barcodes anywhere, Walmart included. An interesting note is that Walmart's online division does not have this same requirement, as forcing all their online retailers to rent directly from GS1 could work to stifle their growth, being that GS1's pricing can be quite burdensome to many startups. Another extremely popular business that heavily utilized barcodes is none other than, you guessed it, Amazon. Amazon doesn't actually force businesses to use GS1 rented barcodes for the majority of the time. In fact, the vast majority of Amazon sellers can own and use their barcodes normally with no problem at all. The catch is that for businesses wanting to utilize Amazon's brand registry seller program, they'll need to rent from GS1 or get a G10 exemption. Now you may wonder, what other platforms and vendors require barcodes to be rented? But don't worry, we keep a running list of some of the popular stores that do have this requirement. You can check that out anytime at barcodestalk.com or in the link in the description below. All right, so enough about usage options. Let's talk about the cost difference. We already mentioned that functionally, there are no differences between these barcodes. So if you know that your vendor accepts both options, which do you choose? The answer is pretty straightforward. Choose the option that saves you time and money. Many customers searching for barcodes often notice the large difference in price between GS1 and other barcode providers. Some of these businesses don't even realize that they have the option to buy barcodes outright, thinking that since GS1 originated them, that must be the only viable option. But that's not entirely true. Remember the UCC settlement agreement? That class action lawsuit gives pre-2002 owners of their barcodes full rights to use their codes and the ability to sell and use their barcodes freely, however they wish. A handful of small businesses have actually gathered large numbers of these barcode prefixes and have made them accessible to businesses for a fraction of the cost of running them. And being that they are from before 2002, the purchaser owns them and they can legally be bought. Due to this increased competition, GS1 has actually modified and lowered their pricing. However, they still tend to be much more expensive than other vendors over time. If we look at the numbers and compare these options, they'll look a lot like this. 100 barcodes from GS1 would cost about $750 plus $150 a year annual fee. This works out to be about $9 per code for the first year and $1.50 per code every year after that. In contrast, if you purchase barcodes outright from a reputable third-party vendor, your cost for 100 codes would be just $45 once. That's less than half a dollar per code for life. Now, I think it's pretty clear which option you should choose, given you have a choice, but it is important to be careful when looking at buying options, as there are fraudulent companies out there selling fake UPC numbers that are completely made up. There's no barcode police, however, but our team has put together a web page dedicated to helping businesses see potential fraudulent resellers. We'll include a link to this also below if you're interested in seeing that. Thanks for checking out our video. If you're looking for more information on barcodes, how they work, or where to buy them, check us out at barcodestalk.com to learn more. Thank you.